You sneaky. You're running as an outsider.
I am an outsider.
Is this true? Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
Come on. Come on. Really?
Do you smoke crack cocaine?
Exactly.
Let's give the people what they came for.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
Mr. Prime Minister, will there always be a Canada? There will always be a Canada. All right, elbows out, elbows up.
It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad.
Ready? Are you ready? Get them out of here! Get them out of here! Get the hell out of here!
Enough with the woke shit.
So the answer to that is to stop being stupid.
I can't do it. We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Get your special sock out, nerds. It's gonna get good.
Is the federal government stealing from us? Are they sabotaging our industry? Are they taking us down the path to communism? Are they censoring us? Are they stealing our guns from us? Come on, let's go.
Let's fucking go.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome here on Unhinged Fringe on Wednesday nights. Holy crap, what a terrible start. Right out of the gate, we have a lot to talk about tonight. It's going to be an amazing show. I hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful week. Keith Wilson's joining us on the show tonight. It's going to be a great show. We're going to be talking about the white paper. We're going to be talking about his new third-party advertising that's going on. We got to talk about things happening in Calgary. Apparently, they have a communist mayor back in the fold. It's going to be a packed show. Packed show. I just want to remind everybody tonight, just like we do every time there's a guest on the show, where important questions must be answered. Get your questions in early. All questions for Keith Wilson. All of our super chats tonight will be donated towards the referendum effort, like we always do, but I can't guarantee all questions will be answered. So get them in early. If you want your question handled, super chat questions, of course, take priority. We'll try and get some that aren't super chat. I don't want people to think it's pay to play, but let's get the show started. Keith should be in shortly. We couldn't do a Wednesday night show, however, without my hetero life mate, Matt, joining us back in the studio. Matt, how are you? It's good to see you.
I'm having a great week. It keeps pouring rain and flooding my entire life, but we're living large. I'm excited for Keith to be on the show and answer everybody's Alberta questions. I watched that press conference of his the other day. It was super cool. And I don't know if anybody's been to his website, but it's awesome. Like, yeah, it has a live countdown to the vote. It has a little window that shows how much equalization Alberta has paid in total, like a live counter. And it also has a little counter that shows how much Alberta has sent east in the time you've been on the website. It's super cool.
Unreal. It's really a cool site. That is Let Alberta Decide?
It is. Yeah.
Is it .ca or .com?
I have it open here.
Pull that up for me, Matt. Well, let's get a roll call going on. We'll pull that up by the end of the roll call. Let me know where you're at in the chat. If it's your first time here, let me know in the chat as well. And let's get to it. Look at this. We got Mark coming in from Grand Prairie right away. Good to see you in here. We've got opinionated bearded boomer coming in from Egerton, Alberta. Good to have you. Oh, we got lots coming in here. King Velduff coming in from Nordegg. Welcome in. John is coming in from Rimby. Badass Custom Coatings is joining us from Cochrane once again. Delphine's coming in from Fort McMurray. Welcome in. Good to have you in here. Hockey fans from my friend's basement in Calgary. Stay cool. Donald's coming in from Wisconsin. Wesley Snipes is in from Lethbridge. Mystical's in from Ohio. Sean's joining us from Spruce. Nelson Cade's in from New Brunswick. We've got Rex Maddox joining us once again from Arkansas. I love our American viewers. No, it's not Kansas. It's Arkansas. We love our Americans. You guys are wonderful, by the way. You're wonderful, wonderful viewers. Wonderful. People tell me stop doing the Trump. I'm not going to stop. It's going to keep going. Look, we've even got Carol and Gerald coming in from Calgary. I love Calgary. Alberta beef all the way. What do we have here? David Brewer coming in from Springfield, Missouri. We have Greg Wilson joining us from Provost. Lynn's coming in from Calgary as well. Quantum's coming in from Wildwood. It's good to have you in here as well. Pete's joining us from Oshawa on Terrible. It's not that bad. Harley Squirrel Nets is in from Rocky Mountain House.
All
Brenda
right.
is coming in from Bragg Creek. Browning's in from Smoking Lake. John's coming in from Rimby as well. KG Kennedy in from Smoky Lake as well. Tennille's coming in from Calgary. Mystical is still on the roof trying to attract lightning. Careful. We don't need that here. Charlie Free Alberta is coming in from Lethbridge. It's good to have you in. We've got Jess and GP coming in from Grand Prairie. Good to have you in here. We have Cindy coming in from Fort Mac or Fort Saskatchewan. Sorry, I saw Fort. Immediately thought of Fort Mac. No, she's coming in from Fort Saskatchewan. It's great to have you here. We've got the political Italian coming in from the great state of Florida. I love Florida. It's a wonderful state. I don't know if you know Mar-a-Lago's there. I love Florida. We've got Mike coming in from Oklahoma, Unacceptable Truther coming in from Chilliwack, and Julie Fraser joining us from Leduc. I always got to get Unknown because he comes in from Texas. We love Texas here in the chat.
Cybertruck.
I love it. I love it. Rodney's in from Newfoundland and Lou from Calgary. Guys, I got to skip the rest of the roll call. We got to go with the show because we have a lot to cover before Keith gets in. I'm trying to do my best. Is this Keith's site?
It is. So it is .com.
LetAlbertaDecide.com.
Vote option 2, October 19th. There's a live counter.
And you can donate to the TPA here as well.
You can donate to the TPA right on the site. And there's information, like there's a little bio for Keith, a little bio for Tanya, bunch of graphics. And here we go. There's the counter. And then see, look at this bottom here. This is the counter for how much money has gone east while I've been on this site, 520.
Oh, wow.
It's hilarious, right? It's awesome. A little chart, a little graph. It's a really well-made website. It's pretty cool.
Great. Go check it out, guys. LetAlbertaDecide.com. Look at it. By the way, guys, we get 1,000 likes tonight. We'll do a giveaway. I'd like to do a giveaway tonight. We did hit it the other night. I was going to do a giveaway for sure this week. We'll do it on Friday, regardless. But let's try and get one given tonight. Hit those thumbs ups, guys. We want people in here when we're talking to Keith.
I'm going to leave this open and I'm going to pull it up at the end of the stream and see how much money has gone east while we've done the stream.
Oh, geez. Okay. Well, let's bring in another grift. Here we go. The Grift Shop. The Grift Shop is open, folks. There is a 20% off everything sale for the next 7 days. So you can go grab your Alberta First, send the message shirts. Again, no profits are being taken from this. It's all going to the referendum effort. The top 10 reasons Alberta would benefit from leaving Canada on the back. Go and grab yours, even in glorious Alberta blue. It looks fantastic. It's a wonderful shirt. Go and check it out. Go get your 20% off while it's on sale. Again, everything's going to the referendum effort. We make the same amount of money every time a shirt is bought. So it doesn't matter if you buy it on sale or off sale. We still donate the same amount to the referendum effort. So by all means, go and save some money. Get yours right now. And again, I'll probably remind everybody towards the end of the show, just for anybody who came in late. Oh, this is going to be a weird week. It's going to be, so I don't know if you guys notice when I do my videos, I have a lot of ahs and ums, and sometimes I forget about what I'm talking about when we do lives, and I need a second to get things together. So apparently I've been having some issues. Now, I got off of some of my medications. I got off some of my anxiety medications because they make me gain weight, and I wanted to get into shape. I said, that's fine. I'm going to get off of those. But now we found out that some of my other medications that keep me alive might be setting early onset dementia. So now I've had to go off of a narcotic. So I'm getting the twitches, I'm getting the withdrawals, and it is just not a good day. So bear with me if I screw up, folks. The vision's blurred, and I'm working kind of at half mass here. So stick with me here, folks. We've got a lot to get through tonight, a lot to cover. First thing I want to hit before Keith gets in. Let's talk about this. The people we're up against are a nasty bunch. Freedom Calendar Max tweeted out here, the venue in Red Deer was canceled for the town hall with Mitch. Will be outside, bring your lawn chairs. So Mitch was doing an Alberta Independence town hall in Red Deer tonight. It was supposed to happen at 6 p.m. tonight. They had to move it outdoors. This is the problem. This is the big issue.
Can anybody think of a single Forever Canadian event anywhere ever that has been canceled for any reason?
Nope. Nothing.
Like
Nothing.
Ours are canceled constantly.
We can't book any venues. We can't keep contracts with venues. We can't go anywhere in public. And this is the problem is that when you're silencing people's ability to vote, when you're silencing people to have an opinion, that's not a democracy. And many people say, well, we just love Canada. No, that's not loving Canada. A free will and voting system is part of our do's and don'ts. It's part of our structure as a country. You're supposed to allow
democracy. Literally.
Yeah, you're supposed to allow people the ability to openly express themselves, even if you don't like what they're saying. And we've been pretty good on that front, I'll say, since we started this process. Nobody who's up for Alberta leaving Canada has assaulted a Forever Canadian. Nobody has canceled their events. Third-party organizations have filed and reported all of their earnings. None of them have given out signs without being able to. We followed the rules. So here's the question I have for everybody. Why are we following the rules? Why is it that they think they can keep walking all over us? I say it's going to get to a point very soon where we may have to start fighting fire with fire. What they have to remember and what these towns have to remember, it leads me into part of what we're going to talk about with Calgary. There are 300,000 Albertans who signed a petition for separation. 300,000 Albertans across this province in cities like Red Deer, like Calgary, like Edmonton, small towns that have businesses that depend on their patronage. I say we start compiling lists of all of the restaurants, just like we did with the Brew House, all these places that have shut down events, that are shutting down free speech. And it's not a matter of, oh, you're not for independence. It's you're a fascist. You are a communist. And if that's how you think this country wants to run, we don't have to give you our money. We don't have to give you our business. We don't have to give you our support. So if you're at Rogers Place and you say, well, we were going to have an independence event at the arena, but now we're not going to because we got pressure from Tom Lukasik and his friends, let them go buy Oilers tickets. Let them pay money and see how much they support their teams. Just like I've said when they do their stupid little land acknowledgements at NHL games. Let the fart huffers and the virtue signalers support those teams and franchises. Because I'll tell you what, folks, they don't show up. They don't ever support the products they complain about. So these businesses may have to start shuttering their doors to realizing that if you want to cuss us out, if you want to say that we can't be a part of things, we don't have to come to your businesses. We don't have to support your organizations.
We have jobs. The communists don't usually. So we have the money to spend. Let's vote with it.
People need to remember, my wallet doesn't care what side of the spectrum you sit on. If you treat me like shit, I don't have to spend money with you. I can spend it somewhere else. That's how the world works. That's funny because Country Thunder, I believe I think it's called Country Thunder. Is it in Calgary? Yeah. They've shut down now due to they claim it's the noise bylaw. Jeremy Fartgas is saying that it's because we've put these bylaws out months ago. They knew about this. They said everything was moving. There's no need for them to complain. Do they realize that they just chased about $5 million worth of business out of the city? Like, that was a huge event in Calgary. Massive event. It draws crowds from all over the world during Stampede season. And because some people wanted to get their panties in a knot, it's done, silenced, shut down, and they've pulled out. And this is the same thing I was talking about before. This is why people are saying, hey, I'm going to start voting with my wallets. Jeremy Farkas says, well, it's because, there was low ticket sales. Well, that might have had something to do with the way your city treated these events. It might have had something to do with the possibility that the venues who said they were going to come to this concert would no longer come if those policies stayed in place. You've got the government in full force trying to silence anybody who doesn't want to go along with their agenda. And that seems to be the problem I'm seeing now, whether it's Calgary, whether it's the campaigning that's going to go on this summer. from all of the politicians.
Isn't one of the peoples in the NDP actually say we need to get away from the Calgary cowboy lifestyle?
From the cowboy lifestyle, the cowboy image.
Like literally your entire Albertan identity?
Calgary has been called Cowtown for how long? Like
Since
you can't.
Before I can remember.
You can't erase the identity of the West. I'm sorry. You've got the Edmonton Journal citing an article this week that if you're an Alberta separatist, don't you dare come to any of the Canada Day celebrations, and don't you dare come to pancake breakfasts or handouts. And even Premier Smith has stepped up and said, these are still Albertans. They should be coming. And she's come under fire again because she can't win. This is where I'm saying it doesn't matter what side she sticks on. If she comes out and says, hey, they're still Albertans, they're allowed to participate in democracy. It's the same thing as Mitch's event being canceled in Red Deer tonight. Yeah, but we don't like those opinions, so shut it down. And that's the problem we've kind of seen since the Freedom Convoy era is, well, if we get angry enough and we wave our fists enough and complain, everything gets silenced because my feelings are hurt. We can't live in a society that behaves like that anymore. Thankfully,
the side of the aisle that says hate has no place here sure uses hate a
you
lot.
just came in like a robot. I think that storm is affecting your Starlink. I want to show you guys this new ad coming out from Alberta's Choice. I think it may be the best ad we've seen for the campaign so far if you haven't seen it. Gold. This is going to make
pure gold.
It's going to make things look well, significantly better for us. Take a look, guys.
When Alberta dared ask for fairness, Ottawa's strongest soldiers assembled.
We must protect the Federation.
Canada forever. Alberta under control.
Calm down, Alberta. The adults are talking.
We must control Alberta, even if it costs them everything.
Their mission was simple. Keep Alberta in. Keep Alberta paying.
You boys look like the HR department at a pipeline protest.
Oh,
Tommy's pink suit is the best part of that.
I'm going to mute your mic for a sec, Matt. You might have to go out and come back in. You're garbled all over the place. Try resetting your connection. Nonetheless, folks, like Alberta does deserve better. Alberta does deserve better, and it's going to get better. I'm loving this. I'm here for this. I think it's fantastic. Let me get through some of these super chats, and then we're going to bring in our guest. And hopefully Matt comes back and things are reset. We got Ingrid with a $2 super. Greetings from Bragg Creek, Republic of Alberta. Great to have you in here. I've got some questions for Keith. And again, folks, I'll try to get to as many as we can while Keith is here. We have a few things to talk about tonight. All super chats will be donated towards the referendum effort. So again, get your questions in quickly. I can't guarantee we'll get them all answered, but we'll do what we can.
Everybody in the chat saying I was clear to them. So
you were all garbled on my end. You were all garbled on my end.
Am I good now for you?
You're good.
All right.
Steve Jensen, $5 super. Antifa got 450 years for terrorism in Texas. Yes. More to come on July 4th. Yep. Jess and GP, $14 super. Thank you. Forever Canada Purring Motorhome is coming to Grand Prairie this Saturday, June 27th to the Welcome Center in Sundial. So we're doing a flag waving from 4 to 6. Bring a flag. Let's welcome them the Alberta way. Jess, let me highlight this one because I want to try. John Talking to Albertans sent me a poster for that. I'll bring that up towards the end of the stream if I can remember to. Look at Dutchie slapping it down. Dutchie with $140 super. Thank you so much, Dutchie. Time to attack the haters, boycott people against democracy. We have control where the money goes. Absolutely. Javelin Blue with a $5 F these people. Well, if that's how you feel, I'm not gonna argue with you. Steve Jensen with a $2 super. God, girls, pow pows. Brisket and beer. That sounds like a good time, doesn't it?
That sounds like a great time.
Dutchie with another $140 super chat. Thank you so much. Fields of Freedom, lots of farmers in the movement. I'm sure we could have our own version of Woodstock. You know, wouldn't that be great? And they can't cancel outdoor shows. I think that'd be fantastic. Maybe we'll talk about that some more. I want to talk about that with our third party because if you guys watched John Bolton this morning, he announced a telethon coming up. We're going to try raising money for third party advertisers on, I believe it's July 18th. It's a Saturday. Going to be a 12-hour marathon telethon. Yours truly will be involved with a number of others, but we're going to be raising money for third-party advertisers like the new TPA announced by Keith Wilson and Tanya Clemens, Let Alberta Decide. Again, we'll bring up the website to see how much we've paid towards the end of the stream. But nonetheless, folks, let's bring in the guest of the hour, Mr. Keith Wilson. Keith, welcome back to the show. Great to have you here. How's the fundraising going? How's Let Alberta Decide since its initial announcement?
It's going well. I don't have direct access to the real-time information, but we're encouraged by the donations that we've been receiving, and we'll tally them tomorrow and report to Elections Alberta as us and all the other third-party advertisers are required to do. So,
some of them.
Can you hear me? How's my audio? Can you hear me okay?
You're good. You're good. You're good.
All right.
I want to talk about this immediate release you put out yesterday, because there's a lot of, well, since you've made the announcement with Tanya, I've seen a massive ramp up when it comes to Naheed Nenshi, when it comes to Jason Kenney's new clubhouse that he's formed online. The Calgary Chamber released a new report, and I want to bring that up really quick here, because you'd put out yesterday this very lengthy tweet about it. But I want to highlight what Nenshi first said. In regards that a new Calgary Chamber of Commerce survey found that 63% of businesses say Danielle Smith's separation referendum is already having a negative impact on their businesses, while 74% see no tangible benefit from it. So he goes on to talk about that. But what's funny is that when you ask Grok, it says the survey is essentially aggregated member opinions or perceptions. It's not legitimate proof of isolated harm. It lacks hard data like specific revenue losses or projected cancellations tied solely to the referendum discourse. Businesses in Calgary were already facing difficulties in late 2025. And that was an example: high costs, lower optimism, economic pressures, before the latest wave of separation discussions intensified. So we knew the pressure was going to be on throughout this campaign season that, well, let's face it, it's the federal government. They're not going to fight fair. What do you have to say about this report that came out? And do you expect we're going to see more of these leading up to October?
Well, I got quite a bit to say. Both of you guys look frozen, so I hope that you can actually hear me. Oh, you're moving now, both of you. So, first of all, Derek, they released their press release this morning. And I'm going to use this as an illustration of some of the tactics that our new independence group, Let Alberta Decide, is using. So how they issued their press release is they used a wire service. So what you do is you pay a sum of money to a wire service, and that press release goes simultaneously to every newsroom in Canada. And you can also do enhanced targeting, for example, to any political writers and political commentators in the legacy media class in Alberta. So within an hour of them releasing their press release, we issued a responding press release through a wire service so that all of the reporters saw the response in real time. So that's one of the strategies, just to stay on this point for a minute, that we're using, which is the reality is that most people, I suspect, who watch your program, Derek, are already realized that the future for their children and their grandchildren is better through independence than staying in the sinking ship of Canada, and that the Canada we once knew doesn't exist anymore. But we're not going to win by constantly reminding those of us who've already reached that conclusion that we're right. We're going to win by a number of things, additional steps, one of which is embracing the legacy media and engaging with them and playing the game on their terms, in addition to me being on your program and others. So, and we're going to hit them with speed. So if they're going to put out a BS report like the Calgary Chamber of Commerce did this morning, I want them to know ahead of time that we're going to call them out in real time. But we're going to do it without shouting, and we're going to do it calmly, so that a disinterested person who's interested in the truth will read what they're saying, and hopefully he'll have a chance to read what we're saying and go, what the chamber's saying doesn't quite add up, but what this Wilson guy's saying actually kind of makes sense. to start opening their mind, to start thinking about independence, and to start thinking about actually voting for option 2 on October 19th. So that's what we're doing, among other things, and I'll get to the other things later. But let's focus in on what the chamber did today. So what they did was they surveyed their members, and they're not providing the survey details, but it's like, hey, here's a questionnaire, mass email to our, and they have like 238 members. It's a tiny percentage of the businesses in Calgary are actually members of the Chamber of Commerce. It's really small. In any event, they sent out an email and said, hey, we're doing a survey. Click on the link to answer the questions. Well, less than half of them had some concerns about independence and believed that it could create some uncertainty and are fearful. And some suggested they might relocate their business out of Calgary if Alberta becomes independent. And then they extrapolated from that and they made some bold statements about, oh, the sky's falling, the sky's falling. Well, first of all, what the chamber was measuring, if anything, was fear, not opportunity. And the reality is Alberta has the 3rd largest reserve of oil in the world. We have vast expanse of high quality agricultural land and grazing grasslands. We have a diversified agricultural economy with a food processing industry, everything from potatoes for French fries to sugar beets to cattle, and I could keep going, right? We have a forestry industry, we have mining. None of those things are anything like the head office for a bank or the head office for an insurance company. A head office for an insurance company, when they decide to relocate, they're canceling a lease, entering into a new lease, and ordering a moving truck to move some office furniture. You cannot move the millions of acres of high quality food producing agricultural lands out of Alberta. You cannot move the 3rd largest reserve of oil to another place underground, unless we're going to produce it and make money from it, which we've been trying to do despite the Ottawa stopping us. I could keep going. In other words, this is a completely different fact pattern than what happened in Quebec in the 1970s. And not only that, Trevor Toome is being intellectually dishonest on multiple levels in his position, because he's quoted in this thing, he compares it to Quebec. He suggests that the reason the businesses left Quebec was because of separation and independence. False. And he knows it. So he's being dishonest. And the reason he knows it, it was in the 1970s that they left, not in the 80s and 90s when the referendum were. And they left because of the crazy anti-English language laws. All business had to be conducted in French. If you have a big business and a lot of your employees don't speak French and you're told they have to, one option is to relocate to Toronto. And that's exactly what some of the banks and insurance companies did. It was because of the harsh language laws, the increased operating costs, and the fact that their skilled workforce was a significant component of it was Anglophones, English speaking, and a lot of the English in Quebec left because they were fearful. So it had nothing to do, it was the language laws. And in any event, back to point number one, we're a resource economy. We're not an office tower economy. To the extent we have office towers, it's because they're there to support our resource economy. So nobody's leaving. In addition to that, a senior executive with an international company said to me some months ago, he said, Keith, we're not leaving. He said, first of all, the natural resources are here that we need to operate our plants. We've spent billions of dollars on our plants. We can't dig them up and put them on trucks and move them. And he said, the most important factor that's probably going to surprise you as to why we're going nowhere if Alberta becomes independent is the skilled young workforce. We can't replace that anywhere. So when you combine the fact that we're a resource economy, the resources cannot be relocated. When you combine the infrastructure we have in place, the vast, you drive through the industrial heartland, you drive through the east end of Edmonton, you go to Joffre, you look at the petrochemical plastic plants, the fertilizer plants, and throughout all other places of the province. Those things are not being relocated. Most of them have been in operation for some years, so they're actually in their pure profit phase, where they've already paid for the facilities, these businesses are not going anywhere. We also have hard facts, and thank you for letting me go on here for a minute. We have hard facts like RBC's report from 6 weeks ago that found that over $1 trillion in investment left Canada, primarily Alberta, because of uncertainty. Not uncertainty related to independence, uncertainty caused by 11 years of anti-development policies out of Ottawa. So the way to get out from underneath that uncertainty is the certainty that comes from independence, and there being a legal pathway as set out by the Supreme Court of Canada in the 1998 succession case, and Alberta being able to make the laws that affect us, elect the politicians to make the laws that affect us, and unelect them if we don't like their laws, instead of everything being done by Ottawa. And as a result, we will have the ability to lift these anti-development laws, and we will have the ability to negotiate with the true strength of who we are as a province with the rest of Canada, with British Columbia, and with the Americans. So there's so much of what was released today by the Chamber of Commerce is just pure BS, and it doesn't withstand any level of objective scrutiny.
So it's funny you mentioned that, because it's been the one argument I've ever had with, speaking with certain family members that say, well, if Alberta separates to leave, I'm leaving Alberta. And I said, well, where are you going to go? where exactly do you think you're going to go? Like, you work in the oil industry. Are you going to move to Venezuela? Or are you like, I don't understand what you're saying here. But when I look at a recent statistic, it says that out of the people leaving the country in the last few years, especially from a survey taken from 2021 to 2026 era, they've said that 67% of the people leaving Canada right now to other countries to work are between the ages of 20 and 44 years old, and that's Canada. So obviously things aren't great in Canada, and it says that the majority of those are the young professional workforce, nearly 70% of them with a university degree or some form of education. So we're shipping off our own talent to greener pastures while sinking the country in elbows up.
Absolutely, and it's unprecedented. Those numbers are unprecedented. There's nobody disputing that those numbers are unprecedented. That when we've created an environment in Canada where if you're an entrepreneurial or you're a job creator or you're just smart, hard worker and want to apply yourself and achieve your potential, the message the government has sent loud and clear: leave Canada. Now, the other thing that's happening on scale is that those who aren't leaving Canada are moving to Alberta. We have the highest level of investment of all provinces in the country. The economy's growing, unlike the rest of the country. And again, that's another data point that contradicts what this political piece that the Chamber of Commerce has released from Calgary. If what they're saying is true, we would not have an increased investment in Alberta, and that's measurable. And we hear announcements every week, and usually multiple times a week, about some new massive billion-dollar investment by the private sector. And we see the increasing numbers, and we see its skilled workforce that's moving here. So, there's one other thing in here that comes up. Trevor Toome says, well, there's 900,000 jobs that in Alberta that are dependent upon trade with other provinces. Why is he suggesting that trade with the other provinces would suddenly stop, right? And let me use a really dramatic example. I bet you 50,000 of those jobs at least are in the oil and gas industry that supply oil to the Burnaby refinery through the TMX pipeline in Vancouver. And if we stop supplying Vancouver with oil, they run out of gasoline, jet fuel, and diesel in 5 to 11 days.
Yeah.
And then there's this thing called Line 9 that supplies oil and other products to through Michigan starts in Alberta to supply Ontario and part of Quebec, supplies the refineries in Sarnia, Ontario, that supply jet fuel to Pearson Airport, that diesel for all the trucks that haul parts back and forth across the US border for their manufacturing economy, and also oil and products up into Quebec to run their economy. So Trevor Tombe wants you to believe that the moment Alberta becomes independent, those pipelines shut off. Vancouver gets shut down in 5 to 11 days, and the economy in Ontario comes to a halt. He really wants you to believe that. That is just absolute intellectual dishonesty. That is not going to happen. That would be suicide for the rest of the country. This is the game these guys are playing. They're so desperate to protect Ottawa. They're so desperate to protect, even on the conservative side, the conservative establishment elites. They want to keep that club going so they can go and feel important in Ottawa and stand up in question period and achieve nothing. That they spread this nonsense to create fear. The reality is, the data shows that investment, while it flees other parts of the country, despite Ottawa holding our economy back, continues to grow. The young population, we have the young population. The analysis has been done, as you guys know, for pensions, right? There's more people in Ontario and Quebec receiving pensions under the Canadian Pension Plan than there is paying into it. In Alberta, there's more younger people paying into it than there is older people coming out of it. So if Alberta were to have its own pension plan, either unilaterally, as the Premier can do, or through independence, it's going to cost less to run the pension, and it's going to lead to bigger payouts. And even Trevor Tombe, I think, has concluded that. So it is distressing to me that they're engaging in such mistruths, such exaggerations to scare Albertans away from exercising their legal constitutional right to vote for independence.
So that brings me, line 9 brings me to one big question, because I've seen, like, we had Premier Smith on the channel recently, and we were talking about different aspects of independence versus staying in Canada, remaining in Canada. She tried to sell the MOU, and one of the things she talked about in that was essentially that, look, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket when it comes to the United States and trying to get to other markets. She kind of tried to sell what you were just talking about, that, oh, it all stops for us in Canada if we leave. But one of the things I have to touch on is I've got a family member who's actually on town council in a city in Nova Scotia, and he was recently in Edmonton for a councilman's convention. And he was saying that, like, Nova Scotia and other parts of the East Coast are begging for Alberta oil and gas. And the biggest problem is Quebec. Yeah. So when it comes to, like, Danielle tried to sell the fact of, hey, maybe we get a line to Churchill, we get icebreakers, we go around. Why do you suppose they're not looking at these options in Canada? And do you think if they were to offer those options and actually get shovels in the ground, that it might not really quell, but take away some of the pressure on independence? Or do you think that if we go to America, we won't get hosed as them saying, well, you're our only customer now, we don't essentially have to give you anything for your oil? I think that's what Danielle was trying to allude to, is that if we go to the United States, we're sunk.
There's a lot to unpack there, to use her expression. There are many in Quebec that culturally and ideologically are opposed to having pipelines. We know that. They have natural gas. They heat particularly in rural areas, they heat their homes and their barns and their shops from propane from Alberta, which they have to have delivered by truck. They don't, here we used to have that at one time, and now we have natural gas all throughout rural Alberta to every farm and every home. So they're ideologically opposed to it in some instances. And as Marty from up north will tell you from his vast real world experience, they're under the belief that they are subsidizing the oil industry in Alberta. So there's a lot of misinformation, but it's deep and cultural. But let me just deal with a couple of the other points there. Is what I was told by an expert who was an actual expert and never appears on TV as an expert. In other words, he's a real one. Doesn't show up on legacy news. That the biggest challenge for Churchill is insurance. You know, why were so many ships stuck in the Strait of Hormuz on either side? It was in part because insurance. The insurance providers to the ship owners said, no, we're not going to insure you. So they didn't move their ships. They just let them sit there. And, you know, obviously there's other factors, but the risk of ice and icebergs throughout much of this. So the shipping season for Churchill becomes so short. Yeah. And a lot of ships, they just can't get insurance. So I really think Churchill's a pipe dream. That track is so bad. It's so much muskeg. The cost to maintain that track and upgrade it so it's something faster than 10 kilometers an hour, which I believe it is now in places, it's just not an optimal way. There's much more superior routes. But the one thing that I find most puzzling about the whole MOU is this obsession almost with thinking that we're selling oil to the US at a discount. There's experts in the oil industry, executives that I've spoken with off the record, that have explained to me that it's actually not a discount, that our oil is inferior and requires more processing because of the nature of it, its sulfur content and other aspects of it, the heavy nature of it. And that's why it's a discount. It's an inferior product. But even if that's not true, and there is a discount, we have the third largest reserve of oil, right? Now let's imagine, and the argument even from those opposed to us, the environmentalists, is that we're going to hit peak oil by 2050, right? Or 2030. They keep changing their view. And all the recent reports say we're probably never going to hit peak oil because of the population growth, and they keep needing more scooters and toot-toots or whatever they're called in Vietnam, right? And
sure.
and so on. And we're still always going to need it because everything we see around us and touch is made from a derivative of oil. So imagine, excuse me, imagine we're apple farmers.
Okay.
And we have a storage building full of apples. And we have a main customer that's buying our apples. And we feel they're doing a discount. And Derek says to me, yeah, but we actually have a second warehouse full of apples. And even if we're making not quite as much profit as we were to sell these apples instead of to the Americans, sell them to Asia, what if we doubled the amount of apples we sold, even if we're not making quite as much profit per apple, right? And then we'd go, well, we'd actually double our revenue, right? Mm-hmm. And then the smart guy up on the corner of the screen here says, but wait a minute, we've got a third warehouse full of apples, right? Why don't we sell that too, even to the Americans, even at the discount? And then we go, we'll triple our revenue, right? What I'm getting at here is, would it really matter if we sold all our oil other than what we need in Canada and want to supply to our neighbors in other provinces to the Americans? And even if it's at a discount, like, is this some pride principle in terms of we're being too proud because we want to just go through a great expense to try and sell a little bit more to another market at a little bit more money? We have the third largest of reserve of oil in the world. If anyone subscribes to the concept of peak oil, we could triple our production and still have some left at peak oil when the world's notionally moving off oil, and we'll have been smart because we will have sold it and we will have turned it into revenue and jobs and wealth, as opposed to letting the apples rot in the warehouse, right? So to me, it's baffling that there's these funny discussions going on. So the whole MOU is about getting a pipeline to Tidewater, and in return, Carney says, and first of all, there's not going to be a pipeline. Can we be honest about that?
Oh,
there's not going to be a pipeline.
Absolutely.
There's just not going to be a pipeline. Simple reason, Carney consistently has said, and the Premier should have called him out on it the moment he said it, right after he signed the MOU. He signs the MOU. says nothing about giving a veto to British Columbia and nothing about giving a veto to First Nations in British Columbia, both of which would be unconstitutional because the Constitution does not give them veto powers. He signs an agreement and then he goes to a podium and says, oh yeah, I signed that agreement, but I'm giving a veto to British Columbia and I'm giving a veto to the First Nations. I was talking to a lawyer friend of mine and I said, could you imagine if we settled a big litigation file and we came up with a settlement where both of our clients agreed? And then right after that, my client went and held a press conference and announced that they were putting in conditions that would prevent that settlement from being implementable.
Right.
He said, yeah, you'd be getting a call from me. I said, yeah, I'd be getting a call, a demand letter, and a notice of application to rescind the agreement. Because bad faith, right?
Yep.
And the premier did nothing. She said, okay, that's fine. So it's just remarkable to me. And to be clear, Carney has said that even if all these other outrageous conditions are met, there's no pipeline unless EB agrees to it, the Premier of British Columbia, and unless the First Nations agree. And they have consistently said, no, no, no. So why are we even playing around here? Why are we even putting a proposal forward? Now, here's the really distressing part of all of this. So right now, there is no pathways burden of $25 billion and huge annual operating costs on our oil and gas industry. So the Premier and this government have agreed to burden our oil industry in Alberta with tens and tens of billions of added costs that won't just be applied to whatever marginal increase in production is going to go through this new magical pipeline that will never exist to new magical markets in Asia. It's going to apply to all of our existing production to the United States. Right. Like, think about that. So we're burdening our existing exports with billions of dollars of costs that provide no value. No customer will pay a cent for it. Every oil company said that. The Americans aren't. No one will pay any money for this. And because the oil industry has pushed back and said, we're not going to pay for it, yesterday, Minister Hodgson from Ottawa confirmed that there's negotiations and discussions that the federal government and the provincial government will pay. Well, what does that mean? They don't have any money. That means we're paying for it. So the taxpayers are going to pay billions of dollars on all of our production, including existing production to the United States, where we don't currently have this cost per barrel, in order to get some theoretical increase in production going to Asia, which we know is never going to happen because of all of the conditions that have been placed on the pipeline. So it's really disappointing. And the Premier is behaving in a way that the MOU is everything, that Albertans should be happy because we have the MOU. That solves the whole problem. Well, wait a minute. It doesn't solve the fact that the Liberals in the last 11 years have increased the debt by more than all of the other governments of Canada in the history of Canada combined. That is a spectacular achievement. And not one to be proud of. And Carney is spending at double the rate that Trudeau was. So that says your kids, grandkids, and great-grandkids, these guys are racking up their credit card and constantly increasing the credit limit on each one of our kids' and grandkids' credit cards and maxing it out and saying, oh, they're going to have to pay for it. And that's leading to inflation. They're printing money. That's causing everybody's hard-earned dollar to be worth less. That's why when people go to the grocery store, they have that same look in their eye that they do at a new car showroom. Like, boy, I sure wish I could afford that one day. And they're looking at a thing of honey or pickles. So nothing in the MOU addresses that fundamental concern that I have about the future for my kids and my grandkids, which is the reckless, out of control spending and what that does to the economy, how it creates inflation, and it makes life unaffordable, and it reduces the quality of living. It causes our adult children to decide not to start families. It makes it so they can't afford a house. Nothing in the MOU solves that problem, but independence does.
Yes.
And one more point, which is really important. It's the cultural moral point. Alberta has its own culture. Other provinces have their own culture too. And Ottawa, Trudeau has been very successful in moving Canada to his goal, in his words, of a post-national state without a culture. And that's not the future I want for my children. I like Alberta culture. I like our get it done attitude, our reward for hard work, our entrepreneurialism, our spirit, and our history and our roots. And nothing in the MOU changes the cultural attacks of Ottawa on Alberta. And the final one is the moral bankruptcy that we're seeing, the moral corruption. Look at what's happened to the institutions. I remember, and I don't know if you guys can remember because it's been quite a while now. Do you remember when the RCMP used to investigate Ottawa corruption? Do you remember those days?
Used to.
Yeah. Yeah. And now what you see a picture of the commissioner of the RCMP and Carney backslapping one another, laughing their heads off.
Yeah.
That commissioner holds his job at any moment of every hour, as long as the prime minister lets him have his job. That's dangerous.
Very.
It's a big conflict of interest.
The prime minister, Carney, just appointed a justice to the Supreme Court of Canada with a stroke of a pen. The prime minister can remove the commissioner of the RCMP with the stroke of a pen, and the commissioner knows that. And you've got to wonder what's happened to Canada when all of these glaring corruption scandals, these insider deals where they create these programs and they funnel back to Liberal Party people and Laurentians, and nothing happens, right? Remember when Bev Oda under the Harper government, she was a minister and she resigned because she had a $28 glass of orange juice. Yeah. So we have this moral corruption occurring, this moral deficit out of Ottawa that is concerning to many of us. And that's not the kind of country that I want my kids to live their lives in, and my grandkids, where corruption is rewarded. And I'd like us to get back to the rule of law, and where rules are applied to everyone, not just those who are of a particular ideology and a blind eye is turned.
Yeah. You know, you mentioned a lot there, and there's one thing I want to run by you because, I mean, you're experienced, Keith, and you seem to know your stuff. But, you know, the one question I hear from people a lot that feel let down since the announcement of this vote is particularly that, you know, what is the end game with this MOU? Why is Danielle so hard behind this MOU? When you look at past premiers like Peter Lougheed or Ralph Klein, like they wouldn't have put up with any of this. So it's not necessarily to nitpick at politicians, but more ask, like, why is nobody really defending Alberta from its oil side, its gas side, its job side, its immigration side, and they're propping up an MOU that we all know is going to go nowhere?
I don't know. To me, the premier is behaving like she's in a poker game and all she's got is a pair of threes. Yeah. And the fact of the matter is she's got three aces, right? She's got three aces. In other words, she's got a strong hand. British Columbia is absolutely dependent upon Alberta. I get this kick out of this, oh, we're landlocked in BC. No, British Columbia is landlocked. Are you kidding me? $8 billion of their economy travels through Alberta by rail or highway every year. And 80% of the containers that come off the ships from Asia and get unloaded at Prince Rupert in the Port of Vancouver come through Alberta on rail or truck. And they go to Walmarts and Canadian Tire stores and so on, east of Alberta and primarily in Ontario. So all of their agriculture products, their fruits, their wines, their mining products, a lot of the products they mine but put on rail cars and end up in Eastern Canada and Quebec to go through smelters, right, to be made into actual copper as opposed to a compound. So I could keep going. All their forestry products and lumber all has to come here. And then we supply all of the energy to the Lower Mainland and on to Victoria and so on. So we are in a position of huge strength The problem we have is because we're not independent, Ottawa controls it, and Ottawa wants to control us, and Ottawa wants to hold us back. So I don't understand. Same with Ontario. You know, when Peter Lougheed, Premier Lougheed, he was able to cause an amendment to the Constitution, Section 92A, to affirm the rights of the province to develop their natural resources, which is completely ignored by the federal government through their intrusion right now, but that's another story. How did he get that constitutional amendment? He announced that the Alberta government would curtail the supply of oil and gas and energy products through Line 9, but up to 85%. In other words, only they would reduce it by 15%. So they would only allow it to operate at 85% of its capacity. That created immediate panic in Ottawa and in Ontario. They realized it would shut their economy down. And they said, hey, can we have a meeting? Let's work this out. Right?
Yeah.
And those facts are even stronger today. It's not like they diversified their economy back from the 1980s when Lougheed did that. Their economy is just as much dependent on Line 9 today as it was then. So we have incredible strength. And similarly with British Columbia, why we are tolerating British Columbia being so high-handed with Alberta and demanding and expecting that we just openly allow all their trade through our province, but won't let our economy trade through theirs.
Right.
When we're supplying them through the TMX. For those of you who saw the debate I had with Jason Kenney in Calgary on the 28th of May, one of the things he did that shocked me was, and I still don't understand why he did it, because I think it was incredibly stupid and very helpful to our side, was he said, if Alberta becomes independent, the federal government may shut down TMX to Vancouver and Line 9. And I'm like, really?
Good.
They're going to collapse their economies, are they?
Yep.
Really?
Enjoy.
Okay.
Yep.
What? How's that going to hurt us? You know, we've got the capability. The Alberta government could shut them down itself and say, we'll just compensate the oil companies for the disruption. So this is also strange to me. Alberta has such fundamental natural strengths, economic strengths, people power, institutional competence. And we're behaving like we're a have-not province, and we're so dependent, and we don't want to upset master. And we just, oh, please, may we work a little harder at Ottawa, and we'll send you even more money, Ottawa. Would that be okay? So, but more and more Albertans are thinking about these things. The third-party advertiser that Tanya Clemens and I have started, we're really going to work hard to reach those who haven't yet thought about how powerful and how superior Alberta's position is. Because all we want is a better future for our kids.
Absolutely. That was going to bring me to the next thing. The white paper, now, I've been told to expect it sometime mid-July. Are we still on track for that?
Well, I always said near the end of July.
Okay.
So the target is still the end of July. Okay. We're hoping to make it. You know, we might have to push it a little bit. It's interesting that Danielle Smith's government has set an expert committee to do a similar process. And I don't have the budget that she gave. She gave them $1.5 million.
Must be.
Yeah,
These are all
she
people
also
who have current
she
day
also
jobs.
said,
I'm like, what?
Yeah, but she also said
$400 billion.
$400 billion to leave.
Pardon?
She also said $400 billion to leave. So I'm curious what they're going to come up with.
$1.5 million to have these guys prepare a report. Our budget for the Alberta Transition Council, $0.
Yeah.
Everybody's volunteering their time. Different companies and places offer us their boardroom. Everybody shows up with their coffee cup or their bottle of water, you know, like, anyway, but, and on that, a number, what's remarkable when she was throwing around the 400 billion. Oh, you guys, like, come on. The lack of intellectual honesty with people on this topic is just really spectacular, as I've noted in my strong comments and disappointment in Trevor Toome because he had such a good reputation, and I'm shocked that he's so willingly prepared to sell his soul on this and his reputation, but that's a course he's chosen, is that the largest line item that Danielle threw out and this Kaplan guy threw out is what? 175 billion, which is their view of what our share of Alberta's share of the national debt should be. Well, first of all, there's no accounting for the deductions for the value of the things we paid for with that money that they're getting to keep. So,
Right.
you know, even if that were a proper thing, they haven't reconciled it with the other side of the balance sheet. But even imagine here's a scenario, and I'll use myself, and this is totally hypothetical because this is not true. Anybody who's met my wife knows she's awesome. And so, but I'm going to use me as an example here in a hypothetical. Imagine my wife didn't work and had a really bad spending habit. And she had this ability to keep getting new credit cards in my name with outrageous limits on them, 20,000, 30,000. And every time the mail comes, I open up and I go, what? Another credit card with my name on it, and it's maxed out, and I got to pay the interest on it. And I say to you guys, we go out for a beer, and I say, guys, I think I got to end my relationship with my wife. And you say, why? And I say, well, she keeps getting these credit cards and maxing them out. And then you say to me, well, imagine one of you said to me, well, you know, Keith, like if you leave her, then you're going to have to pay out that debt. And I'd be like, dude, I got to pay it out anyway. I'm trying to stop her from getting new credit cards and increasing my share of the debt, right?
No.
So the argument that the premier put to us is Albertans shouldn't leave because we would be responsible for paying our share of the debt. We're trying to get off this sinking ship. We're trying to get out of this endless swirl of increasing debt. Of course, that's a cost we have if we stay. We're trying to stop it from getting worse. Am I making any sense here? Or like,
oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, when you look at Alberta's contribution, I think it was 350 billion or somewhere around there this year. And I looked at that a couple of weeks ago and said, well, if that's the case, even if it was $400 billion, isn't that a drop in the bucket compared to what's under our feet and our potential?
How do you take our per capita share of the debt that's been accumulated throughout the history of Canada since 1905 and subtract from it the you got to go to this website that we've set up called ottawatakes.com. I don't know if you can bring it up right now because it'll fit in perfectly what I'm about to say. ottawatakes.com. And it's a real-time counter showing how much net surplus equalization payments Alberta's paid. And the counter that'll come up on the screen is, as of right now, 308 billion, 247 million, 111,000, 100, like that's the rate at which we're paying. We're paying $634 to Ottawa that we don't get back every second. So shouldn't that number be subtracted from the 175 billion? And if it is, they owe us money, right? Yeah. So this scary, if you leave, you'll have to pay money that you already owe without any adjustments for the value of the infrastructure and other things that money purchased, and without accounting for how much net surplus we've already paid through equalization, again, is disingenuous fear-mongering. So this is a good website to share, by the way, and part of our campaign, and an example of the tools that Let Alberta Decide is developing. And this is where your donations go to develop tools like this to help others understand what's happening. So show this to some of your friends, bring it up on your phone, and get them to realize that this is the money they are paying. It even breaks it down into various subcategories as you scroll down, interesting talking points. So that's my answer.
On your website.
One of the other line items, the second line item they had included in that outrageous 400 billion was also something that we're already on the obligation for. The real calculation should be this, is when Alberta becomes independent and all the money we currently pay in taxes stays in Alberta, and we take on some of the functions that the federal government provides, the few functions that affect our lives, like passport offices, customs and border guards at the land border of Montana and at the 2 international airports, and we transition some of the federal prison guards onto our payroll, and we stand in place of the federal government with the contract with NAV Canada to continue to operate air traffic control, etc. How much more is it going to cost? And that number is very small, because all of these things, and the other thing they do is they go, well, you'll have to start from scratch. Well, why would you do that? Why would we will go to the border guards and say, look, on this day, Alberta is going to transition from being a province to being a country. Just like when one company buys another, they go to the employees and say, you're going to go on our payroll. You're going to get a new business card. You're going to get a new uniform, right? Mm-hmm. There's different logos going on the side of your truck. So we would go to the passport office staff. We would go to the border guards and say, you can transition from the federal government. You will become an employee of the new Alberta government for the new country of Alberta. And you will do, and it'll happen next Monday, on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. You'll do exactly the same job you did on Monday and Tuesday of this week. You're just going to have an Alberta flag on your uniform instead of a Canadian flag. And what Trevor Toome and the Premier have done, which is intellectually dishonest, is they say, oh, no, all of those people will magically disappear. All of that infrastructure will magically disappear, and we're going to have to go and find people from scratch. That's absolute nonsense. Most of those people are going to want to keep their jobs, and some of them will be quite happy to work for the Alberta government instead of the federal government in Ottawa.
And even if everything did magically disappear, they act like everybody in Alberta is completely incompetent and you couldn't just make a new one.
Yeah, like we couldn't, I remember, you guys are way too young for this, but I remember going to a motor vehicle office before things were privatized in Alberta years ago. This would be in the early 80s. And you had to take a day off work because you had to go stand in line to get your driver's license. And then you had to stand in line to get a registration for a vehicle. Then you had to go to a different line for a license plate. And then you had to stand in line for your insurance. Like, everything was ridiculous. And then we privatized it. And now any day, if you're in a major city, even at night, even on a Sunday, you can go to one place and get them all, and you can be in and out in 20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So I'm pretty confident. And even in Ontario, you have to go to a different place to buy beer, and you have to take your empties there. And then you got to go to a different place if you want wine, and a different place if you want liquor. And there's all these it's just insane. So I'm pretty confident that given our successes in Alberta, in many areas of delivering services that governments need to deliver, that we could do it more efficiently. That's the only question for me, is how much more efficiently would the government of Alberta be able to deliver so many of these services and programs? First off, we're not going to have to do everything bilingually, because we're going to be doing it in one language. That's going to save tremendous costs for lots of aspects of our economy. And people will be free to speak what language they want, but only one language will be the working official language, which is the language of our province and our culture and our history, which is English. So, this is all hyperbole from those who are opposed to independence and defending Ottawa and wanting Ottawa to continue to rule us and us be controlled by Ottawa. And everything that we need to take over. I point out, Elon Musk faces unknown unknowns in trying to get humans to Mars. It's never been done before. Every single service that the federal government provides for Albertans that the Alberta government will need to take over are known. They're known. They're being delivered today.
By Albertans in Alberta.
Yes, that's an even great point. It's not like every morning massive flights fly in from Ottawa to man our borders and man our prisons and man our federal prisons, because most of the jails and most of the prisons in Alberta are provincial. There's there's few of them. There's Bowden and Fort Saskatchewan that are federal. So yeah, like all of this, it's all being overblown. Companies acquire other companies and seamlessly deliver services to their customers with their customers barely even noticing the change. The same thing can and will happen when we become independent. We've got the capability to do it. Ottawa just doesn't want to let us go. And I think an increasing number of Albertans are starting to be concerned about the direction of the country and seeing the appeal of independence.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about Let Alberta Decide, because I know you've talked about different ad campaigns that you guys are looking at, and I certainly don't expect you to discuss any of your plans or give us high
Our
details.
secret strategy?
Yeah, we don't need
We
the
have
secret
some,
sauce,
and they're cool.
So what is could you give us a brief example or some kind of preview as to what your plans are for that soft middle that's undecided? I know the white paper plays into that, but even when we talk about Mitch's events being canceled in Red Deer tonight, I mean, how do you get around in the major cities like Edmonton and Calgary with all of these people that don't want you to have a voice? What is there any kind of strategy to getting around that, Keith? Or
the reason I'm smirking is I was on a call about an hour before, about 6 o'clock today, and we were in the final throes of organizing a Alberta Independent Stampede breakfast. And I'd already signed the contract and paid the deposit. We were getting into all these details, and we were noticing some funny signals coming from the event and the venue. And then while we were on the phone, figuring out logistics and how many tables and parking and all this stuff and pricing, we got the email that they've reconsidered and determined that they're actually not able to provide their venue.
Wonderful.
So we're you know what? And this is so much reminds me of the Freedom Convoy and stuff. And Darren, you know that Eva and I have been in the belly of the beast along with Tamara Leach and Chris Barber. And so we take this stuff, we just roll with it, man. We don't let it discourage us at all. It just means that they think we're winning when they have to resort to those tactics. But let me answer your question specifically. We are not going to win this unless we can reach those who are undecided. Mm-hmm. And even if we convert all the undecided, we're still not going to win it. In order to win, we have to get the current majority of Albertans, who I would estimate are 50 to 60%, who are frustrated federalists, who recognize that, this doesn't really make a lot of sense. Ottawa is holding us back. I don't like how the economy is going. I don't like the cost of living. I don't like the cultural deficit. I don't like the moral corruption of Ottawa, and feel that Alberta is getting a bad deal. And so we need to reach those people. And that's why I'm okay with the question, because the question for October 19th is either to vote. I have people I know well who, if you ask them today, vote stay or leave, they will absolutely vote stay. But they'll also tell you they're very concerned about how Ottawa treats Alberta, and we don't think Confederation's working for Alberta and Canada's working for Alberta, and they want to see systemic fundamental change from Ottawa as to Alberta's role, and they want Alberta respected and want Alberta more free from Ottawa. So I say to that person, and I've done this, if you have a choice today between scenario A, voting stay or leave, or scenario B, voting stay or calling upon the Alberta government to actually hold a binding referendum on independence, how are you voting in scenario A? Stay. How are you voting in scenario B? Oh, I'm voting for option 2. I want to send a message to Ottawa. Okay. Yeah. So that's the first step, is we got to get more and more people in that category. Because I do believe when they open their mind to not voting stay, and they start to really think about why they're unhappy with Alberta's place in Confederation, and they come more to the realization that Canada doesn't work for Alberta, that Alberta's outgrown Canada, that we're actually better off, that we have the competency to be our own country, and in fact will be an incredibly prosperous country, that will move them when we have the real vote in February or March of 2027, February or March 2027, the second referendum, the yes/no one, that they'll be prepared to say, yes, I'm prepared to vote for independence. And so we're using, there are some in our movement who yell at people that don't support independence and suggest they're stupid for not supporting independence, or they're communists for not supporting independence. That's not how you win people over. So we're taking a much more measured approach, a more sophisticated approach, where we're trying to meet people where they are. We're trying to meet people through the lens that they see the world. We're trying to meet people in a way that's responsive to the things that they are concerned about, and show them how independence is the right way to go. And so you're not going to see, and so like town halls, who goes to town halls right now?
Supporters.
Who already agree.
Right. So I spoke to someone who spoke at 6 town hall meetings from Fort McMurray across the province. And before each time they spoke, and there was a grand total of these 6 meetings, there was 11 people in the room that put up their hand for undecided. So I'm sorry, town halls are important, and I hope they continue to occur. But those who are thinking, or his strategy is, we'll just do more town halls and we'll win this, that is nonsense. That is a strategy for failure. And I'm uninterested in failure. I'm uninterested in success. So and that's why this morning, within an hour, when the Chamber of Commerce spent $800 to send out their press release, so it would simultaneously, through the wire service, a for-profit wire service, PR news services, that it would arrive on every single editor newsroom desk across the country. We went to where they were and we issued our press release and spent $800 too. Would I like to do it for free? Yeah, but I want to win. And we sent a message. So now the editors, when somebody comes at us, they're going to be going, "Oh, let's just wait. Just wait. Wilson's gonna hit back."
I have a question on that. Did they
and when I get a
cover
request,
your release as well?
Sorry, say again?
Did the mainstream cover your release that you sent an hour later, or just the other one?
Some of them they have. They actually did, because now they got quotes, right? And I don't like what I used to do when I did it during the Freedom Convoy is I issued tweets, and that's all the media had. So all the news organizations had to use my tweet because that's all they had. And it was a different dynamic. But now I had a request from Global, and they said, "Can you be available for a Zoom?" I said, yes. And I said, "Here's my availability." I did the Global. I had a call from the CBC. "Would you be available for an interview?" I said, yes. When everybody dials me, and sorry for you, Derek, and the others, but I'm picking them first. They're not always going to do our stuff. And that's why we did a traditional old school press conference. I didn't like the background in the room, the way the wall was. So I had black drapes put up with blue accent lights. We were able to find the flag poles you see from the press conference from last week in Calgary, because I've got some incredible volunteer team. They found those on Amazon, including the poles and the stand, for $38 each. To rent, it was like $65 a day. And now we've got them for future events. So we're trying to be very judicious with donations as well. But we went as far as, there's a special box, an audio box that gets set up on a cocktail table at the entrance to the press conference room. And I demanded one of those, so that from the hotel and so on, so that when the press come in, they can all plug into it. And then they get the audio feed off the microphones. They get high quality audio. These other press conferences that have been put on by other groups in the past on our side, they show up and there's none of that. And the media guys go, "What are these guys doing?" Right? So we're trying to bring a very professional, sophisticated approach that has not been used to date, so that we can reach those who have been turned off by the approaches that have been used to date by some, and so that we can open up people's thinking. And then in addition to and then we've got a campaign strategy. You put up on the screen this tool that we developed called albertatakes.com, is a tool that you can sit around with your buddies after a baseball game or after a family dinner and show your uncle and have him go, what? Really? Wow, I now get it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're going to keep doing. In addition to that, we've got a very sophisticated social media digital team, and we're going to be deploying digital strategies to reach people where they get their information primarily, particularly the demographic that's most susceptible to supporting us, which is the 20 to 40-year-olds, which is this, right? Our devices. So, but in order to do that requires money. I'm volunteering my time. I've significantly reduced my caseload so that I can really put my shoulder to the wheel. And those who want to help us, please, please, please consider going to letalbertadecide.com. And as you can see on the screen, if it's $25, if it's $500, whatever you can afford, please donate to us. We're going to put it to good use. We're going to win this.
Yeah. And you must be an Alberta resident in order to do that, correct?
Well, you can try. I've had emails of complaints from some Americans and some people from BC and Saskatchewan. I'm from Saskatchewan and I tried to donate and your website wouldn't let me. And I'm like, well, our IT department pulled it off then. We do not want the hassle of people who aren't allowed to donate and trying to handle that money and send it back. So yes, you're right, Derek. Only Albertans can donate, Alberta residents and or Alberta businesses. The maximum donation over the campaign period between now and October 19th is $5,000. So if you have a rich uncle and a rich aunt, your rich uncle can donate $5,000 and your rich aunt can donate $5,000. If they have two Alberta companies, each one of their companies could donate $5,000. So it's not per family, it's per individual Albertan and per individual company. So anything people can donate would be greatly appreciated. You can already see the quality. If you look even at this website and spend some time on it, you'll see it's a very sophisticated website. It's meant to be engaging. We're doing lots of stuff on social media. Some of you will have noticed. But all of these things come with a cost. And we're going to be building towards doing traditional advertising as we get closer to the vote on television and radio, in addition to billboards. There is some discussion on our advisory steering committee where Tanya and I have been asked to whether we're going to do signs. I think the sign area is really heavily covered right now. Corey Morgan's doing a great job. The Women for Independence, Kathy Flood and Angela are doing a phenomenal job. Jason Levine's doing a great job. I think that space is pretty heavily covered. John Tompkinson now has a TPA for flags. So we're going to try and stay in the more sophisticated, heavy-hitting campaign tactics, strategies, tools for now. We may branch out, but we're definitely going to be doing billboards.
So this one question came in, Keith, while you're here. If you're a contractor in the oil and gas industry, you can donate from the business and personally. They are separate. He says that's very important.
That's correct. So
okay, good.
I have a friend of mine who donated $5,000 personally. And then his company, it's a registered company that's been in existence in Alberta for over 30 years. Functioning operational company. That company donated $5,000 and that's perfectly legal. That's in full compliance with the election law, finance laws.
Well, just a reminder, folks, for anybody outside of Alberta, now I, as a company, will be donating all super chats again tonight towards Keith's TPA. But also, we've been accumulating over the last month our Alberta First Send the Message t-shirts. They're on right now for 20% off for the next 7 days. You guys want to head over and save yourself some money, grab some, buy some for your friends and family. Again, all sales, especially today, I'll be taking the proceeds from those shirts. We're not taking any profits. Those will be donated by Unacceptable Fringe or myself personally to those TPAs to help in the referendum effort when it comes time for us to make our donations. So help us max out that contribution. If you're outside and you want to help, that's the best way to do it. You can show your support for Alberta. and I will make those donations on the channel's behalf, so to speak. And anything that goes over the 5,000, I'm pretty sure there's other TPAs, but I don't see us making like $20,000 or $30,000. I'd love to, but regardless, we'll donate to every TPA to the max until we can't. And then if there was anything left over, God, I'd be a millionaire. We'll make another donation to another organization. But nonetheless, folks, it's all going to a good cause.
And the maximum any TPA can spend over the campaign period, it's a weird number. It's $607,000. I don't know where the
Really
7
bizarre.
comes from. It must have been a GST thing or something at one time. But
Really bizarre.
so yeah, it's. But I'm using the 600,000 figure. Each TPA can spend up to $600,000 between now and October 19th.
Great. Now, Keith, I do have a couple questions for you if you have some time. Would you be okay
Sure.
with that? Or okay,
Yep.
I want Steve Jensen's got one. If we win the referendum in October, would that actually be enough for Alberta to declare a unilateral secession with world recognition?
I don't believe it would, because
it's non-binding.
you're just calling upon a vote. But I do believe that. Let me emphasize something. The Quebec government, so we have in 1998, the Supreme Court of Canada had its infamous and spectacular succession reference decision, where the Supreme Court of Canada clearly stated that any province, after holding a vote on a clear question through referendum, where a majority vote for independence, that triggers a positive legal duty on part of the federal government, the other provinces, and impacted First Nations to enter into good faith negotiations. Positive legal duty is a legal concept, and good faith negotiations is a legal concept. These are not just soft words. These are hard concepts. They're defined concepts. So that was in 1998. In 2000, the federal parliament in Ottawa brought in the Clarity Act. And the same day it passed, the next day, the Quebec General Assembly passed Bill 99. And it said the Clarity Act is BS, it's unconstitutional, and it doesn't apply to Quebec. You may recall about 3 weeks ago when Carney said that this referendum question was going to have to be reviewed by the House of Commons in Ottawa.
Yes.
And who stood up in the House of Commons and defended Alberta's rights and went to podiums in Quebec City and Montreal? Quebec politicians, and said, Alberta, don't listen to Ottawa. The Clarity Act does not apply. The Clarity Act is unconstitutional. The Supreme Court of Canada was clear. You Albertans get to decide whether the question is clear. You Albertans get to decide whether there's a clear majority, not Ottawa. In other words, the Clarity Act was designed by Ottawa to try and put roadblocks and
safeguards,
obstacles, to prevent a province from actually using the Supreme Court of Canada decision. Well, as a basic point of law, as a first-year law student will learn, if there's a conflict between a federal statute, the Clarity Act, and the Supreme Court of Canada, what trumps? Well, the Supreme Court of Canada. So Quebec's taken the position that the Clarity Act is a nothing burger, that it does not restrict Quebec's rights, and they've publicly stated in recent weeks that Alberta should be taking the same approach. So my view as a lawyer is that there's nothing in the Supreme Court of Canada reference case that says, for example, that Ottawa shall decide whether the question is clear. It doesn't say that at all. Right. So on its face, the Clarity Act is unconstitutional. So in the second vote, which I expect to occur in February of March of 2027, if a majority of Albertans vote yes for independence, the negotiation should commence immediately. If the federal government refuses because they're going to do a court challenge, or refuses because they're saying the Clarity Act is not being met, Alberta should take the same approach as Quebec is currently taking and has taken ever since the year 2000, and say, no, you can't. That's an excuse. That's an unconstitutional excuse. You have a duty to come and have good faith negotiations. You come and have good faith negotiations. And if the federal government says, no, we're not, then we say, that's bad faith. You're now engaging in bad faith negotiations. And we give them another chance and another chance and another chance. And if each time they demonstrate more and more bad faith, that clears the way for what the Supreme Court of Canada talked about in paragraph 155 of its decision, which is it did, if the parties did not engage in good faith, it did not preclude the province from seeking and taking and announcing a unilateral declaration of independence. So, and remember, that's an international law concept that's still alive and well, as remarkably Prime Minister Carney reminded the world and Canadians in September 2025, when when Palestine announced it was declaring its unilateral independence from within the region, the country known as Israel. And Prime Minister Carney said, yes, Canada will recognize you. So if Alberta is put in a position through bad faith, unconstitutional dealings by Ottawa to have to make a unilateral declaration, then that will only succeed, and the Supreme Canada pointed that out, is if we're going to get international recognition. Well, over 90% of our trade is with the United States, directly on our border, closest country to us, the largest economy in the world. And the Americans have been clear that they would recognize the free will of Albertans and the right of self-determination, and they would recognize an independent Alberta. And there's at least 20 other countries that it's been suggested would also recognize. And then the rest of Canada is going to be dependent upon us for energy products and other things. And we're going to want to have a fair deal with them so we can negotiate from a position of strength. So all this is completely viable. This idea that this would take decades to negotiate is nonsense. And another thing, this one I love. Well, just even negotiating the changes to the Constitution will take time. We're all familiar with Microsoft Word, and we're familiar with the concept of search and replace.
Yeah.
The amendment to the Canadian Constitution when Alberta leaves is search every instance of the word Alberta and delete it. It's over. Wow. We're out of the Constitution. Any other changes the rest of Canada wants to make to the Constitution is up for them to fight over. We're out. Right. So the amendment to the Constitution is pretty easy. Remove all references to Alberta because we're now a free country.
There you go. All right. Ravenwolf says, Keith, thank you for everything. My question is, how would the police and military work if we separated? I would sign up no questions, just haven't seen much conversation on the subject.
How does the police work today?
I mean,
how do you expect the police to work tomorrow?
But Edmonton and Calgary police
are. No offense to this person. Why does everybody assume it would change?
Yeah,
like that's what I don't get.
The Calgary
Edmonton
police
and
the Calgary police, the Edmonton police.
Well, they're still
the Edmonton police, right?
But they're provincially serviced. They're not federally serviced.
No. Sorry, Derek. And maybe that's where it is. Lack of understanding.
Yeah.
If you're in Calgary and you assault somebody under the criminal code, who's going to arrest you?
The Calgary police.
Right.
Not the RCMP.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
if you're in Calgary and you engage in a civic bylaw offense, the Calgary police can write you the ticket.
Or Calgary bylaw, yes.
Or Calgary bylaw. If you're in Calgary and you speeding, which is a provincial statute, who's going to pull you over? It's either going to be a special constable bylaw or it's going to be the city police. If you're in Stony Plain or Spruce Grove, who's it going to be? The RCMP.
Well,
they're contract police, right?
Yes.
So the police would carry on the day after independence like they did before. Because one of the things that would do, and the Alberta Transition Council white paper will speak to this, is there will be, the new government of Alberta would adopt what would be called the Continuity Act. And it would simply say every federal statute that currently applies to Alberta and things happening in Alberta is now, by virtue of this statute, an Alberta statute. Okay, so we just move that in. So the criminal code would now become the Alberta Criminal Code instead of the Canadian Criminal Code. And then the new government of Alberta could look at ways of improving it and getting rid of some of the ideological elements that Ottawa's infused into it. With respect to the military, we don't have a functioning, largely military today. That's tragic because we have a great military history as a country. And But we're also such that, one of the things that was in the Premier's $400 million nonsense, or $400 billion, was that, and this Kaplan fellow, was that Alberta would have to spend 5% of its GDP in order to be in NATO. Well, why would it necessarily be the case that Alberta would need to be in NATO? And why would we spend 5%? Canada's never spent 5%, not even close. So this is trumped up stuff. I think what I've heard that made the most sense is that Alberta would have, much like other smaller countries do, they would have a civil defense force to help with situations like floods and fires and other things, and also forces that could be deployed for peacekeeping or other things. And then they would have more of a focus on special forces, elite to special forces like we do have. So that's what I've heard makes the most sense. We don't need 1,000 tanks. We're not going to need an 82nd Airborne. We're not going to need a 1,000,000-man army. So, but those will be decisions for the new government. I think the soldiers who are Albertans deployed elsewhere could be offered to move back to Alberta and join the Alberta military when it's formed under the new country in compliance with legal measures. And those soldiers who are here from other provinces could be invited if they want to join the forces as well. Just like when one company takes over another company, all of the employees are offered an opportunity for employment in that company, and everybody's life goes on as normal. So I hope that answers that person's question. It's a great question.
Within a couple of years, an independent Alberta could afford a better military than what Canada has right now, guaranteed.
Yeah, I'd say so. Steve Jensen asks, do we still have the turn off the taps legislation? And I guess you would probably follow up with saying, why haven't we used it?
Effectively, yes. There's a lot of nuances around it. We have what's called the production curtailment regs. And somebody suggested to me that is a independent Alberta going to nationalize the oil and gas industry? And I'm just like, oh boy, we're paying way too much for education these days because they're not teaching much. Alberta, who owns the mines and minerals in Alberta? The government of Alberta. If you live in Texas and you own a farm or a ranch, who owns the minerals, the oil under that ranch?
I believe it's the person who lives there. Yes.
If you live in Oklahoma and you have a farm or have land that's got oil under it, guess who owns the oil? The landowner. If you live in Ontario, near Petrolia, Ontario, where they discovered oil a long time ago, and you had a farm, you owned the mineral rights. Alberta is an aberration globally in real property law because in 1889, when the lands were first being homesteaded and they were planning to put the railway through, they realized that they were giving title to large swaths of land through homestead that had coal underneath it, and they wouldn't be able to run the railway. So when they granted the land titles in Alberta after 1889, they started reserving the mines and minerals onto His Majesty the King. So Alberta already owns the minerals. There's nothing to nationalize. And a lot of people don't understand that. They assume it's like Texas, Oklahoma, or Ontario, where individuals own the minerals and that the government would have to take it from them, Cuban style. That is not true. Order in Council 1070, 1889, the federal government began reserving mines and minerals. And in 1930, through the 1930s transfer agreement, all of the title to those mines and minerals was transferred from the federal government to the Alberta government.
There you go. Somebody asked about lawn signs. We covered that. Somebody asking, Keith, are e-transfers available for donations or is it credit card only?
At this stage, it's credit card only, but we plan to expand it to e-transfers once we get more volunteers trained and test our systems to make sure they're working. The compliance requirements with Elections Alberta are very onerous, at least for those of us on the independent side Apparently, it's a completely different story if you're waving Canadian flags around and have nice hair and a pink motor.
Yeah. Well, Keith, you've got a heck of a boulder to push up the hill like Sisyphus, but hopefully there's an end to it, unlike him. And I commend everything you're doing. I know all of our viewers love it when you come on the channel to talk about what you're doing. Let us know when you want to come back on and talk more. And we look forward to your events throughout the summer. Anything else you want to throw in before we part ways?
You know, I'd say this. I've joked about I got the guy on the one shoulder and the guy on the other shoulder. And the guy on this shoulder sometimes, usually every day, sometimes a couple times a day, says, what are you doing? You know, like you got this awesome law practice, very profitable. You've got, you know, good life, awesome wife. You know, why are you not golfing 2 or 3 times a week and spending winters in Phoenix and, you know, having a sailboat or something? Well, that's the closest I got there to a sailboat right there. But and then there's a guy on his shoulder and says, wow, Canada's going into a very, very serious dark place. And we're all seeing it. Censorship laws, we could keep going.
Yeah.
Economics, aligning with China. And Alberta has so much going for it. We've outgrown Canada. Canada doesn't work for us anymore. And we could be so much better off, and our children so much better off, and our grandchildren so much better off by being independent. And by every objective measure, it makes so much sense to me for us to be independent. And then we have a legal pathway. And then we have the global dynamics. And so this guy wins out, and each day and each night, I'm going to fight for freedom and independence for Alberta and for our kids and our grandkids. And because it's the right thing to do. And I think we're going to win. I really do. We're not there yet, but I can see the path ahead. We've got some really interesting strategies that are going to be rolled out in the coming months. You're already starting to see the professionalism we're bringing to the campaign, but we do need help, and any donation anybody could make would be greatly appreciated. We have to do fully audited financial statements. Everything is being done to the letter of the law. I'm not about to compromise my reputation of 30 years as a lawyer at this stage of my life. I don't need to, and I'm not going to. So I thank you for having me on. I know I talked a lot. I had a lot of head off my chest, and I really enjoyed being with both of you.
Thanks.
Well, let me tell you, Keith, nobody would ever dare disturb the future king of Alberta, and I look forward to serving in your court when we claim independence. Look, I appreciate you coming on, Keith, and again, anytime you want to chat, feel free to come back in. The crowd here loves you, and Godspeed in your quest.
Before you go, I just thought you'd find this interesting. I opened your website right when we went live, and then this is the counter since we started. So we're at almost 4.3 million. During this podcast.
There you go. A lot of money,
folks. The amount of money that we send to Ottawa is astronomical. And yet the premier's negotiating with Ottawa like she's got a pair of threes, and she's playing poker, and she's actually got 3 aces, man.
Yeah, it's scary. Well, Keith, hopefully we see independence, or at least the path start to independence October 20th. But again, we look forward to seeing what you have this summer. Thanks for coming on. We'll look forward to talking to you in the future.
Thanks again.
Have a great night. Take care.
See ya.
There's Keith Wilson, ladies and gentlemen. Man, what a guy. Every time he comes in here, he's like the father of independence.
How do we force him to be the Lord of independence? How do we get him up there?
The calm, cool, collective. I can't get enough of it. It's like, look, I'll tell you, it's like getting worked up as a kid. You know, and then your dad comes in and says, hey, come on, settle down, right? Like, you guys get your shit together. You're going to be okay. You know, like we absolutely love Keith. Look, even Freedom Train coming in. We love you, Keith. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Again, that'll be going towards Keith's TPA as well. So thank you guys. There are some supers we're going to have to get through. Some of them, I saw Javelin Blues in there. Please don't take offense. I don't want to attack Keith while he's here. I don't want to make him feel uncomfortable being in the Fringe. I thought some of them were a little pushy.
I just got to say, like, you know, that, like his website, his press conference, everything he's doing, everything he's explained, that is what we have been waiting for.
Asking for. And keep in mind, they just announced their TPA on Friday.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
if they've done all of this already, like, we're off to a good start. I would say we're off to a good start. Let's take a look at the other supers. Keith, is it law or in the Constitution that the government has to approve the independence referendum question? Said technically Texas. So we did already kind of answer that. Keith answered that. That's the only reason we didn't bring that one up. Again, refer back earlier in the stream. He says, no, the government can't do that. We've got Javelin Blue, machine pew-pews and destructive devices. I hear you. And again, it was nothing against Javelin Blue's tweets. I didn't want Keith to feel attacked. And his time is limited as well. Raven Wolf with a $5 super. If we do an Alberta stock, please give me a slot. We'll let you know. Javelin Blue, see Wilson, machine guns, destructive devices again. Hellbilly Deluxe, does Canada remind anyone of the Weimar Republic yet? Or is it just me? We're getting there. We're getting there. Alberta Outlaw with the $20 super. I've been working hard convincing Indigenous about independence since my lady is Cree. I appreciate that. You know, that's one of the places I keep saying we have to hit more than anything is the First Nations. They're already at almost 50% that we know based on surveys and polls saying that they're ready to go. If you know anybody First Nations that can speak with First Nations, not because of a language barrier, but more just because they'll identify, please get them in the conversation. We need that. Steve Jensen, government, why spend millions when 10 million will do? Well, that's kind of the way they roll. Javelin Blue, Wilson, you can explain anything, but people are too dumb to listen. So this is where I said, I don't want to show this because I don't want to insult Canadians with Keith there. You got to keep in mind, Keith, as he said towards the end of the interview, he's doing nothing to jeopardize his tenure as a lawyer or his 30 years of practice as a lawyer. I don't want to flash those kind of questions on the screen. I hope you guys understand that. When we were talking about English being the primary language, maybe some Punjab, not happening, Captain McGunty, but thank you for the $2 super. Raging Against the Machine, what we do echoes in eternity. What we do now echoes in eternity. I couldn't agree more. Thank you. How dare you? Gave a $5. How do I get an Alberta Decide lawn sign? We already went over that again. He said he won't be doing signs. So again, I skipped that one for those reasons.
The other TPAs, Jason Levine, Corey Morgan, and the Alberta Women one. I can't remember the name of them for some reason off the top of my head.
Get your collection started.
Yeah.
You can get them. It's like Pokemon.
They all have different signs, so yeah, you can collect them.
Ingrid to the $2 super. Keith, what currency will Alberta use? I skipped this one because we've talked about it many times before. It would most likely be the US dollar because oil trades in USD. Hockey players are paid in USD. We do a lot of things already with American currency in Canada, so there's no reason for us to keep Canadian funny money. Javelin Blue, no Wilson. Nail Quebec if separation happens. F them. Again, didn't want to put that one on screen. Javelin Blue with another 5. Elections as sheriff, have a constitutional police force. I think we were kind of hinting to that. So again, I kept that one off the screen. A sheriff, constitutional police, local militias. Again, Javelin Blue, thank you for contributing tonight. Please don't feel insulted or think that this is an attack. Again, I kind of think we all hinted at that when we were talking.
Mike's got the local militia covered.
Yeah. Alberta Outlaw with a $10 super. Sheriffs would assume the positions of the RCMP. RCMP would have the choice of transitioning to be a sheriff. That's my assumption of how it would work. And again, I didn't want to bring anybody down while Keith was on, or make people or put Keith in an awkward position. But my belief is we're going to screw this up really bad. Separation. We're not going to do it right, and it's going to crumble. I don't think so, but I appreciate the super chat. Snow with a $5 super. Keith, love all your hard work, but expecting good faith negotiation from Ottawa is hardly based on reality. Look at the Kuzma negotiations or lack thereof. Again, we had a video on that today. And I agree. We all know that a unilateral declaration is the only way we're going to get out.
We still have to go through the motions.
We still have to, you got to jump the hurdles. Again, Javelin Blue, not attacking Keith, but don't trust anybody. The issue is it's not if Canada will let us separate, but China. I hear you. And that's why I said, again, don't feel like I'm attacking or that I'm refusing. It's I have to structure the show accordingly. And we just made some judgment calls while it was going on. Again, folks, if you want to donate to Keith's TPA, but you're outside of Alberta, you can go pick up the Alberta First shirts. Or if you're in Alberta, you're going to want to get them anyways. 20% off everything in the store, not just these shirts, for the next 7 days. You have to hit this little redeem button up here in order to get the 20% off. But everything you get in the shop is 20% off right now. Again, all proceeds from the sales of these items going towards the referendum effort. I will be donating all sales tonight, in particular, to Keith's TPA. So if you want to contribute and you're outside of Alberta, guess what? The Fringe can do it on your behalf with the proceeds from these shirts. So again, there's a link in the description. You can go to our shop channel and pick those up.
Are you telling people to give you their money?
Sure. You guys want it?
Give me your fucking money!
There we go.
That's great.
Matt, you had a few things.
Yeah, it's
what do you
almost
got?
10. Do you want me to bring up a couple of little tidbitties?
We'll do a few.
All right. We're going to go here. Oh, well, let's have some humor. So there's a new game.
Introducing the most realistic female police simulator ever created, where every decision can change everything. Will you have what it takes to protect and serve? Montreal Female Cop Simulator. Introducing the most realistic...
Oh, you missed it. You were gone.
Oh, no. What the hell? See, I leave for 2 seconds. Sorry. Spit went down the wrong pipe there. I was like half choking. I leave for 2 seconds and you almost get us banned.
What? Why would that get us banned?
You can't have people getting shot on YouTube. You just can't show that, even if it's AI.
Oh.
We're going to get banned.
We're fired. I'm fired. I ruined
No,
it
you're
already.
almost, with C9 coming, we're going to have to be real freaking careful about
Speaking
what
of
we're
C9,
showing and talking
I got
about.
one on that too.
Oh, here it goes. Guys, thank you for the super chats. Hopefully they keep the lights on around here.
I'll assume you've seen.
They're being donated. I'm joking.
I'll assume you've seen about the call to prayer that they decided to broadcast in Regina.
Yep.
Well, so there's been a lot of online backlash, and the Regina police have warned people that threats over the Islamic call to prayer could face Bill C9 prosecution.
Unbelievable.
And so it's already a thing. And I got to tell you, if I ever hear a call to prayer from a mosque near me, although I don't even think there is a mosque in Winnipeg, or at least I haven't seen one. There's a lot of the whatever the Indian religion is, temples, but I don't think I've ever seen a mosque. But yeah, that's pretty rough.
Unbelievable.
So C9's been in for like a day, and they're already threatening to use it to prosecute people.
Oh. The meme was funny, though. It is funny, but
It's
you know
hilarious, but I don't want to get us in trouble.
4.5 years of YouTube down the drain over a funny meme. I'm not in. If you
feel
guys
like
want,
at the very least, they'll make you take the stream off.
no,
right?
that could be demonetized for a month. That's that's a big one. Let's take it. If you guys want a reason to laugh, let's actually show a suitable meme. Here's something to make you laugh. You guys remember old Fancy Socks?
I was clicking things.
Old Fancy Socks.
Oh, yeah.
The Prime Minister. Do you guys miss him yet? I mean, I kind of miss his stupidity a little. But here, just in case you need a reminder.
No sound.
What's that?
There's no sound.
There's no sound?
Yeah.
So I set all that up and there's no sound. Look at these technical issues we're having tonight. My God. All right. Little message from Justin, guys, just in case.
Hi, everyone. It's me, Justin Trudeau. I just wanted to explain how incredibly gay and retarded I am. Like super gay and extra retarded. Look at all these pipes I can't even assemble properly. That's how retarded I am. But it's 2026 and that's still a good thing, right?
There you go. Thought I'd give everybody a reason to laugh tonight, just in case.
Took the photo up and then he had his help put the thing together for him.
Don't bow down to the liberals. It's not bowing down. Look, it's the new laws. YouTube hates this channel.
And even before the laws, I didn't even think of it that, YouTube doesn't like actual things like that happening on YouTube. Like they censor everything.
Yep.
I'm in trouble, guys.
Javelin Blue, $5 super. Absolutely not offended. Just a reapply, scared, not doing this right and being shackled by the government. I hear you. We're going to get you out of here. Don't worry. Javelin Blue, that's one of my concerns, Islam. Yeah, I hear you. Again, I showed a lot of what I was concerned about on today's video as best as I could. And even then, I had to cut out a whole bunch of stuff because of these new censorship bills. And I know that they're not fully law yet, but we still have to be careful about what we're doing. It's and no, see, here's the thing. People always mention this. Oh, why don't you go to Rumble? It's not about the broadcaster. It's not the website you're broadcasting from. It's if you're in Canada, You're breaking the law. It's a law now. So they can send the happy police to the house, or the killjoys to come and show up and say, hi, we're Captain Buzzkill, and we're here to slap you either with a fine, throw you in cuffs and take you to the station and reprimand you, or drag you through the courts for hate crimes, just for saying what you're saying. No Starlink, no ISPs, none of that stuff can protect you. If you're in Canada, it's the same as stealing from a store. It's the same as punching somebody in the mouth when you walk down the street. You're breaking the law.
Yep.
That's the issue. Big issue.
Do you like it when our money goes to really dumb things and leaves the country?
I love it. I love it. I live for it.
I'm almost numb to at this point. Like I see these articles and they're just like, yeah, well, that's kind of what they do. Anita Anand, one of our favorite politicians, has announced $35 million to boost Caribbean security to tackle Haiti's gang crisis.
Unbelievable.
35 million to Haiti. But did they consider the intersectionality of gender and climate for that 35 million?
Yet we're in a technical recession, as they keep calling it.
A technical recession.
Javelin Blue, you're definitely going to get a visit from the police. Probably. They know where I live.
Sometimes I'm wondering why they haven't already, to be honest, for both of us.
They do. Oh, not for you. Your name's not on the registration. Your name's not on the tax bills.
I clicked on the video. I shared it.
Yeah, but no, we'll talk when you're here next week. Let's do.
Me.
I will. Let's do a giveaway.
Let's stream it at least so the audience can watch and be amused.
Yep. Let's do a giveaway. How many likes did we hit? I'm going to do a giveaway regardless. It was a really good stream, and maybe the YouTube gods will take some pity on me.
I'm going to do a giveaway.
If we do a giveaway, should we do a giveaway?
Oh, I'm going to come.
Do not come.
Should I do it?
Do not come.
I'm going to do it.
Seriously, we had 1,300 viewers for the majority of the stream, and we're at 863 likes. Did people not like what Keith had to say? What happened? I should pull back my giveaway. I won't, but I should.
I'm pretty
but
sure
I won't.
Mike has mentioned that. Sorry, address
Ravenwolf. Check out the Pepperbox veterans made it so they could share their stories without being censored. I'll take a look. Steve Jensen, if the cops come to my door,
I wouldn't read that out loud.
Yeah. Well, what Steve says. What Steve says. Steve, thank you. It's like you guys are on a mission now. It's like you all want me to get banned. Unbelievable.
Matt, you're fired.
Yeah, you're fired. Listen, I got a lot of hosts, a lot of co-hosts here. I got ones on Mondays, some on Fridays, and you're wonderful, Matt, but you're fired.
You can't fire the Friday one. You're married to her.
Oh, I could fire her. And I if she's in the right mood, I fire her a lot. Yeah, I'm not allowed to talk like Donald around her anymore. I'm not allowed to. Hey, you're fired. I don't like what you're doing around here. She's like, stop it. Stop talking like Donald. No more Tim Horton redeemed from Gary. I know. I see. I get edgy. I get worried about even posting that now. Anytime I want to put it in something, it's like, am I gonna get slapped down? Is YouTube gonna pull me off the air? What's gonna happen here? Let me. God, being off these meds, I'll tell you, it's not doing good for me. I'm down. I'm going down with the ship.
Well,
sorry, I got the wheel going.
Okay, you're spinning. Okay, I was just gonna say, are we spinning the wheel? So, by the way, we are actually 1 week out from Alberta Day at the Whistle Stop, just for those who don't know. And I will be in town. Mike will be in town. Derek and I, we're all going to be there. It's going to be a good time.
Provided I'm not in jail. Yes.
Provided we're not all in jail. The gulag is going to be lit.
Thomas Weniger. Is Thomas still in the stream? Thomas Weniger. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He's got a little Calvin for his profile picture by the looks of it, from Calvin and Hobbes. Hey, there he is. I saw it. I'm here. Thomas, congratulations. You're tonight's winner of a giveaway. You have won yourself one of our awesome shirts that I keep talking about and never shut up about. over on our shop. You've won yourself the Alberta First Send the Message t-shirt, free from us here at Unacceptable Fringe. Go to the shop, pick out your shirt, your color, your size. Or I guess you don't need to pick out your shirt. It's right there. Color and size. And send me an email within 24 hours. I can barely see the keyboard. I'm so screwed. I hope it's spelled right. Send me an email within 24 hours to unacceptablefringeyt@gmail.com. Again, color, size, and your full shipping information, including a phone number. I will send that shirt out to you ASAP. Congratulations to our winner tonight. That's awesome. I'm happy to give that away tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, what a show it's been. I want to thank everybody for coming in tonight. I want to thank our guest Keith Wilson, for joining us on the channel tonight. It's been absolutely amazing having him here in the studio again. Go and donate to his organization. What is it? Let Alberta Decide. LetAlbertaDecide.com. I always want to say let Alberta leave. It's LetAlbertaDecide.com. Go and donate to his TPA. Show them some love. If you're in Alberta, you must be an Alberta resident again in order to donate to them. It sounds like they're doing great things with the money that they're getting. So again, we want to focus the money or to whatever TPA you feel deserves your money, where it's going to be used to the best of its ability. From myself, from Matt, from everybody here at Unacceptable Fringe, folks, have yourselves a wonderful night. Keep your eyes open for new content coming tomorrow. We'll catch you on the next one.
It was
Take
nice
care.
knowing you all.